I'm Woodley White, and I'm pastor of the Methodist Church right across from the post office in Mount Lehigh. And I also make instruments. I make guitars and ukuleles. That's my time. And Julie and I have lived here for 18 years. We're in our 19th year now, and we so love it. We just love Discovery Harbour. We want to live out the rest of our lives, or as much as we can of them. And we actually have built 3 houses. We built 2 houses, then we decided we didn't really want 2 houses. So we sold one, but we built a 3rd house for our youngest son and his wife and their 3 children. They just had a baby girl on Thanksgiving Day. And the oldest goes to Volcano School, and he's leaving today for a field trip to Washington, D.C. and New York City. So they're in Volcano right now. Anyway, I'm just trying to say that we are so in love with being here. And I thank you for coming tonight. It feels like there's probably good representation from Discovery Harbour and people probably from all different points of view. And so I am the Aloha ambassador. And my intention is for us to have this meeting with Aloha. And I have some rules for that. But I'm going to begin with this is a prayer. And if you don't like the word prayer, just call it a poem. But this is a prayer I pray every Sunday in my church, and it's inclusive. Source of love and light, beauty and wonder, we give you thanks for this moment of love and light, beauty and wonder. Amen. So here's what I think. I've been to some of the board meetings in the past. I haven't been for a long time, I gotta admit, because sometimes the energy is just so hard to cope with. And I don't like it when temperatures go up. So, anyway, I get the report from the community afterwards. So I go online and look at what I can find in the minutes. And so I've put together some rules for tonight. The first rule is we want to treat each other with respect. And I want there to be no interrupting. And no bad vibes. And no anger or shouting. And if you start to feel like you're getting emotionally reactive to what's being said, I want to teach you a little something right now. And I learned this from Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist priest. And what Thich Nhat Hanh taught me when I was struggling with life is to just pay attention to my breath. And so every time you breathe in, think to yourself, peace into my heart. And every time you breathe out, think peace out to the world. Peace into my heart. Peace out to the world. And it really works. You can find peace in the midst of difficult times. Julie and I have seen just a countless number of examples of aloha in this community, in Discovery Harbour. We've seen neighbors reach out to each other. We've seen wonderful parties. We traveled to Cambodia with some of our friends. And we met up last October in Venice with Frank Altamari and Dorothy. And in a cathedral in Venice, Italy. And so, I mean, there's just so many ways we've seen aloha here. And we love it. We also have seen examples of people creating discord or anger. And we'd like to think about that with you and address some of the issues. I think that's one of the main things our community can do. So let me just say, our goal is to create a beloved community. Our goal is to, and I should give an amen, end the lawsuits. Amen. And our goal is to continue the services and activities that make living here wonderful. And our goal is to respect the Aina and the Hawaiian culture and do things that keep this affordable Hawaii. I want to say I'm thankful to SPIG, to Gary and to Cord and others for the use of the golf course. The donation of the golf course to be managed by the club, to me, it was one of the best things that's ever happened in this community, because this place is so much fun, so much positive energy here, and so we walk it 6 days a week. We walk before the golfers hit the golf course, and we really every morning it's like, oh my gosh, what a wonderful day, and we love doing that. So I see that that generosity of the golf course and letting people manage it as being one of the really healing things that I've seen happen here. And so I also want to give thanks for the club for letting us have our meeting here tonight, and thankful for this community center. We were here Friday and it was music and it was wonderful. So thank you for letting us use this facility tonight. And I want to say thank you to all the people over the years who've helped to keep this place going, for hours of service and commitment by the board of directors. We're thankful for the volunteer fire department, and we're thankful for the people who participate in community watch, and those who create community events, and the many people who make this place a place of aloha. Unfortunately, none of the current board of directors are here tonight because they've been told not to attend by legal counsel due to active litigation. But I want to honor the people on the board and say thank you for all of the people who've given of their lives to help enrich this community. With Judge Nakamoto's final ruling just a month or so ago, you know, there are now no covenants being enforced, and we have a huge amount of information to share with you tonight. And if you listen, I promise you will learn things. So, finally, I come from a tradition that teaches us that we are to love our neighbors as ourselves. And, you know, that can be a challenge, but it's possible. So that's my message. Let's learn how to love each other as we love ourselves. Oh, okay.
So, to help facilitate so everyone can speak and not have interruptions, if I hear interruptions, I may quietly come over to you and say, let the person speak. Everyone, we want to have a chance to speak, but we just don't want to interrupt, okay? So if I come to you and quietly,
She's a flight attendant. Really good at it. So our first speaker tonight is one of my dearest friends, and I'm going to help share some of the history of Discovery Harbour. He's one of the longest members of this community, and so Frank Altamar.
I'll hold this for you so you can read under that.
I'm allowed now, I might be able to not need the microphone.
You can't hear on the microphone.
You can't hear over here.
Can you hear me?
Use the microphone.
A little bit.
No, you can't hear.
The microphone.
You don't want to stand right in front of the light.
So I'm Frank, and we've had property here. And
Can't hear you.
I'm Frank, and we've had property here.
The microphone isn't working.
The microphone is not working.
Yeah, it is.
It is? Oh, jeez.
Here
Mm-hmm.
before.
And, okay, this is official. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so I said, my name is Frank, and we've had property here since 1988. We've owned 13 lots in Discovery Harbour, 5 in my thing, and we had a 20-acre piece of property. So in that due diligence, I see people like Clara here, who's been here a long time, so if I leave something out, please correct me. So in the due diligence, back in '88, I went to the county planning department and got some information on Discovery Harbor and what was proposed. I have the people, like I have a map of the bypass road that was the main highway was supposed to come and connect to Wakaya Avenue. So if anybody would like to see the map, you can see where the proposed bypass road was and where it went. And to that end, you can see when you're coming out of Ocean View by Kuluku Ranch, you can see where the power lines come down and it hits South Point Road and then come down to Wakaya, and the water lines, they put water lines. And the road was improved from Middle E down to Kuluku Ranch and was proposed to go through. And then the road was improved below in Whittington, Oahu, over to Honolulu. So originally, they had plans for this area to have resort development. And this is almost before, except for Mauna Kea, it was almost before all the resorts in North Kona and South Kahala were built. So that was the original plan. Didn't go through. So Discovery Harbour, gotta get my notes here. Discovery Harbour was one of the first planned residential communities in Hawaii. Hawaii was just 3 years old when, as a state, when Discovery Harbour was proposed. So I have to get my wife here to read. So they had a 3-phase proposal to have housing and the golf course, then hotels, commercial properties in 3 phases. So the golf course started in 1968 with the lots. And everything was surveyed, the water lines were put in, the electric lines were put in, and the infrastructure was quite extensive. And so everything was, really extensively built for this area. And so then there was also the Hawaiian Riviera proposed, and an airstrip was developed at Kuluku Ranch, but didn't go very far. So that was the ideas for down here. So Cal Pacific Corporation started work on the golf course in 1968. And in 1972, Cal Pacific sold the subdivision to American Showa. It was a Japanese company. And the lots, most of the lots went to Japanese buyers at the time. And Clara probably remembers all of that. And so that's what was taking place. And in 2000, Discovery Harbour Holdings, which was headed by Mr. Wong in Honolulu, bought the golf course and some of the lots from American Showa. And then in 2009, SPIG purchased the golf course and commercial lot from Discovery Harbour Holdings. So it's been interesting down here to see all the things that happened and want to take place, and how much resistance over the time there has been to development. So in 1993, the sugar closed down. That was the last year for sugar. And then soon after that, Na'alehu Dairy closed down. And then the governor proposed a prison in Ka'u, and the people were up in arms. And so that never developed. The government said, if you don't want it, I'm not going to try and push it through. There was also a South Point spaceport proposed. It really never got off the ground. But the people here want to keep Kabul pretty rural, so there's always been some resistance. One other thing I forgot to mention, and this I had a hard time pinning down because of the state project. They call this place Discovery Harbour because they were gonna build a harbor, and Wachay Avenue where they'd get down to the harbor to, build a harbor for Cool District. There's harbors in every district. And they didn't, that was why I was told it was named Discovery Harbor, and that's why they put the industrial electric down the road. We have the three-phase industrial electric here, or bringing it up, and that would tie in phase 2 development, which is the 527 acre, 1 acre lots, zone 1 acre agricultural lots. So that's just a brief history, as I know it, of the Discovery Harbour.
I'm Gary Knickel, and I'm one of the owners of Discovery Harbour, along with Court Therapy. We bought the Discovery Harbour back.
Can't hear you.
I can't hear you at all.
The microphone is not working.
Is there a button here like a push?
No.
Does that make a difference?
No.
I can be pretty loud. Can you hear me now?
I'm the max boss.
Is this working at all?
A little bit.
Keep it close to my mouth. How I got involved in this project was because back in 1998, I bought the 527 acres.
Can't hear you, Gary.
You can't hear me?
No.
This isn't working now?
No.
Gotta get real close. You go like
It worked for a while.
It works, but you got speak louder.
You got a big louder, okay. Sharon, you can tell if you can hear me.
I've been telling you, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him, Matt? Can you hear him
Can
now?
you hear me?
No, still no. I think you need to raise it up more.
This way.
Ah.
You gotta put it right
This
next
is
to
our
your
electrician
mouth.
for the community. He's an electronic engineer, so he should be able to fix that anything, right? Yes.
Right here.
I'm right here.
Woohoo!
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's what I was saying. Back in 1998, which is probably about folks were even born by then.
Bring it up a little bit more.
A little more? All right.
Yeah.
Shall we get a sing-along going here?
Kiss the microphone.
Okay, I'm talking into the thing as best I can. Okay, in 1998, I bought the 527 acres. It's zoned 1 acre ag. It was the second phase of Discovery Harbour, and all the lots in Discovery Harbour, phase 1, were 30 acres. The 527 acres is 1 acre. So it's going to be probably the higher end portion of the subdivision. But I bought it for personal reasons. I was going to, I have a ranch, and my kids wanted to put the ranch on the 527 acres. Obviously, we never did that. In 2008, I started getting telephone calls from 3 different developers wanting to buy the golf course, but they weren't interested in it unless they could do a joint venture with me on the 527, because from a development standpoint, that's where all the big money is based. And I understood that, but I said, thank you, but no thank you. I wasn't interested in it. And then in April of 2009, I got a call from Reese Jones. I don't know, do any of you know who Reese Jones is? Do you know Robert Trent Jones? You've heard that name? Okay, Robert Trent Jones. He was his son, Robert Trent Jones. He had just finished building a golf course on the Big Island right next to the airport. Just south of the airport is a subdivision called Kawaniki. Are any of you familiar with that? None of you are, okay. Well, Reese spent 4 years building this it's a $50 million golf course right on the ocean, and the 400-acre development, and it's one of the best golf courses in America. And he was interested in, he found out that I had 527 acres, and he was interested in the 527 because he wanted to put a signature golf course on the 527 acres. And I told him I wasn't interested in doing that because the fact that we had a golf course in Discovery Harbour, which was his dad's old golf course, and that was the first thing we had to go with. Well, within a couple of weeks, I get a phone call from a guy by the name of Larry Dolan. And some of you probably remember that guy's name. And he was employed by Country Clubs of America to look at Discovery Harbour. And he did his preliminary investigation. The Country Clubs of America wasn't interested in it, because they were only interested in the big property. And there wasn't enough population in Discovery Harbour at that time to warrant an investment in a subdivision on Discovery Harbour. But Goldman contacted me, yes, had contacted me in reference to, beg your pardon? I got it? Okay. Tell me if you're not hearing me. All right, so that's. That took me my story, I'll save this some other time. So we got involved with Discovery Harbour. They had made a contract, a very lucrative contract, for buying the golf course. Beg your pardon?
Closer to the mic.
Yes.
Is this better? Got it? Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The bottom line is, we got involved in the golf course because they really needed some money. They had a contract that was coming up in 30 days, and they didn't have enough funds. So they contacted me wanting to get involved in it. And I put together a group to help them out. And the one person that was involved with SPIG was Cork Garrity. And he's the only original member of SPIG that is still around. And he was helping a friend out, and boy did he help that, right? So the bottom line is, after we closed on the golf course, there was a deal cut. The mayor, the planning department, they were all very much in favor of us buying the property and developing the 30 acres and rebuilding the golf course. So we're all on the same page. And we also were supported by the HOA, the president, the vice president, and there was a deal cut. I'm sure some of the people in this room are still around, know that the HOA was going to support the golf course, because the golf course is in the middle of nowhere, and golf courses take money to run, and it was just the income wasn't going to support it. So the deal was that the HOA was going to help support the golf course, and we were going to rebuild it, and that was our initial game plan. Well, in August of 2009, we had a meeting court and I, and the other, a couple of the other partners of SPIG, met with the board.
Hold my phone
and
just
they
for a little
told
bit. I
us
want
at
to see if I
that
can
time
fix the amplifier
that they
there.
had to renege on their
Just
promise
hold on to the
us
edge. Don't try to.
because they had never had majority vote to, for anything. And they had also, there was a Rutan lawsuit, which they had just settled, or were in the process of settling, which questioned the existence of the HOA in that form. So we were told that there was no deal. So if there's no deal with the HOA, then we would have to, we couldn't do anything at that particular point until we got some zoning approval from the county for developing the 30 acres. And the original HOA, which was Fort Smithson and in that group, and they supported us, and we went through the CDP process. We went to the county and said, well, what do you want us to do? And the county told us, please go through the CDP process and we'll help you. We're gonna have architects there. We're gonna save you $250,000, $300,000 in engineering work. But you have your architect get in touch with our architects and do a special permit. And we hired an architect, and they worked together with the CDP architects, and they were all on the same page. And at the end of, at the beginning of we had plans built up for a village commercial operation on the 30 acres. We have the plans. We can show them to you if you're interested in some point. So that was in 2011, and we filed for a special permit in January of 2011. But our architect came back and said they won't accept our special permit because there already is a special permit on the property, a special permit 141. So let's see what 141 is about. And so, well, let's find it and see what their maybe we can just follow on their backs. Well, special permit 141 was the original plans made by the developer back in 1968. And those plans called for a Four Seasons resort, two twin tower, 7-story buildings. It was going to be 1,100 or 1,200 rooms on the 30 acres. It was going to be a massive resort. And but they could never find special permit 141. And we spent a year. We spent a year looking for special permit 141. That was about a year, wasn't it, Court? And so they finally came to the conclusion what had happened was that the special permit was sitting in limbo until it was just sitting there in 1993 or 1994. This is long after any of the developers had long gone. There was such a problem in the state of Hawaii for developers that the state passed a law that if you don't have a special permit either denied or passed within a certain time period, that it was automatically passed. So our attorney, who's one of the top attorneys in the state, his family, his mother wrote the book on real estate law in the state of Hawaii. He said what he thinks happened was that it was on the books, and that when that law passed, it was automatically passed. So that's what we continue. So we think there already is. The statutes have already. We can probably get zoning just from that, and we may do that. But
Gary, talk about the lawsuit. People want to know about the lawsuit.
okay.
I know, but it's too much history. Right?
Too much history?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, in 2014, we were approached by the CDP to do an outline, just to do concept drawings on what we thought would work in Discovery Harbour. So what we did was we got a bunch of the old folks that were on the board of directors for the HOA, and many of the ladies, Carol Massey and that group, went around and got opinions from the residents in Discovery Harbour as to what they wanted. And based upon that feedback, it's just a concept drawing. We grew up, and the court, we drew up some concept plans for a May meeting. And at that May, and so I came in specifically to do a presentation like this to the residents of Discovery Harbour at that time, which was May 25th, I think, 2015. And at that meeting, we had illustrations, we had big blow-ups of the plans, and we also showed plans of what the 1968 project looked like. We had the original copies of the plans, which was like night and day. It was a very nice set of plans, but it probably cost $1 billion today to put that project in here. So, but we used it just as an example. And so what happened at that point was during that meeting, Irene Eklund told the CDP that our plans were in conflict with the CCNRs. That's the first time we heard that. We didn't know where that was coming from. And my background was casualty insurance. I spent almost 20 years running primary, excess, and reinsurance claims operations. And one of our accounts we insured were HOAs. So they didn't know that, but I was an expert on HOAs and litigation involving HOAs. I knew it inside and out. I knew there was no conflict in the CCNRs. I had read them, and there just isn't. But they alleged it was, and as many of the Sharon Shining, many people here, we try to find out what the conflict was. They never tell us. But they pushed it. And as Patty Berry can tell you that in August of that year, they had a meeting, and the board members got up and read parts of the HOA, the CCNRs, and those records were recorded, but there's no record today. I mean, they actually had voice recordings, but the only records that were missing, we looked for them, were the ones that were for that meeting in August of 2015. Now, Patty, you're smiling. If you want to make a statement, you can. You can add to the history. So from that point, we knew that we weren't all that concerned about it, and I had gone back to Texas, and so in October of that year, I get a call from a lady in the back here, Sharon Shining, and she says, "Hey, do you know? I just met with the CDP. We're back from Washington State, and we were told that they had to change the zoning that we had requested, which is there's 3 zonings that are involved in the commercial zoning. There's low density, medium density, and high density. And we were shooting for medium density, which is about 500 units. Low density is 180 units. But we knew from a practical standpoint, we needed 500 units on the 30 acres. So what happened is that we contact, we get back in town, we contact the CDP, and they tell us, Ron Whitmore was the manager for the county, and he told us that if you can get a letter from the attorneys for the HOA stating there is no conflict, then we will give you the zoning that you are requiring. But they are adamant, the HOA is adamant that you are in conflict. Because of that, that's the reason why we went with the overdensity. And Patty Berry can tell you more about that, because she's the one who recommended it. To solve the problem between the HOA and the zoning requirements. So we went back to the HOA. I didn't. Sharon Shining and what was the doctor's name?
Marvin Randall.
Dr. Marvin Rendell, who had actually been involved in some development, went through and he outlined in detail the CCNRs. And he spent like 30, 40 minutes explaining that there was no conflict in the CCNRs, and he was right. But they wouldn't listen to him, and they tabled it. And he said, and Ekman's response was, well, he's entitled to his opinion. Well, that's true too. But his opinion was right. And we got our attorneys involved, and the bottom line is, they never sent, and there was a time limit. It had to be March 6th of that year in order to go forward. They wanted a letter by that time, otherwise they were stuck. We were stuck with the zoning of low density urban. It didn't come. When it didn't come, so in May of that year, we filed suit for the declaratory action, and in 2023, we won that. And I knew that we were going to win it. I knew the facts, and if you look at the facts that the judge outlines, and we've got copies of it, if I can give you any of that, but it's very, the courts have to determine what the facts are. Then they have to apply the law to the facts. He did it. He did it, and he did the only thing he could do. If you look at the facts and the law, he made the only decision he could make. And he ruled in our favor all the way down the line and against the HOA. And he also said that the HOA, and from the history standpoint, the original HOA was ended. The corporation was ended in 1977. The American Showa didn't renew it. So in 1977, the HOA went away. And 79 and 78. Beg your pardon?
Temporarily.
No.
Keep going, honey, you'll have a turn.
Well, no, wait a minute. Let her make her
No,
statement.
I'm not interrupting. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. You have on a corporation, you have 2 years to reinstate the corporation. It was not reinstated. So the only thing you can do when a corporation is dissolved is to sell the assets. That's the law. It's very clear. Ask any attorney, it'll say the same thing. The association ended in 1977. The assets should have been sold. Now, the assets were donated by the original developer. And so, in 1982, a couple of residents created a new corporation. But the corporation can only be developed by the lot owners based upon the CCNRs. The CCNRs give it very limited authority, and the authority is that the HOA must be created by 2/3 vote, or 3/4 vote, of the residents. So the only way another HOA could have been created would have been by a vote of majority in the subdivision. And they could have done that, and they tried in 1982, but the developer said no. They had 750 lots at that time, and so they never got approval for lots, for creation of the HOA. But they went ahead and created a 1982 corporation. But that corporation has absolutely nothing to do with Discovery Harbour and the 823 lots, because the individuals have to vote on it, and they never did. So that's the crux of what the judge found out, or to me. Okay. Well, from God, so the bottom line is, we want a declaratory action, right straight down the line. And then we also filed a second suit for, because of the fact that they interfered with our zoning, and which is the money damages. We won, and we're gonna win, and the appealable issues on the declaratory, they say we filed it, but it's a terrible appeal they've made, and I don't even think the appellate court will take it up. We'll see. On the declaratory, on the interference claim, we have a settlement offer. They've offered us. They started what? Sharon?
Speak up a little bit, would you please?
Speak up.
Yes.
You're not getting the microphone's not working.
Not really.
That's good, and then you must drop it down or something, it goes away.
Okay, I'll try shouting. How about that?
That's what you do. Don't turn away from it.
Don't turn away from it. Okay, how's this? I'll follow. All right. So we filed and the fact that we won the declaratory action means that they had no reason to make a claim that there was interference, that was a conflict in the CCNRs. So what Patty was caught saying, we had no choice because they were taking that position that there was a conflict, there wasn't any. Now, and you can ask Patty Berry, because she's read the entire CCNRs, and after she read it, she said, there is no conflict. And if you really read them, you understand that there was no conflict, there isn't. But in 1994, they changed the CCNRs. And what happened was that they, again, didn't have a majority vote. So when they removed the 1972 CCNRs and they replaced them, the state doesn't have anything to do with that. They said they had a fraudulent document. They said there was a majority, and there wasn't. So the state throws away 1972 CCNRs. Well, the only way you can reinstate, the only way you can restate CCNRs is by vote of majority. And they didn't do it, never have, they can't, they won't. But by 1994, once the 72 CCNRs were gone, that's it. There were no more CCNRs. Although they replaced them, they did it fraudulently, and they admitted that in a letter of resolution. And the court refers to the letter of resolution where they admit that the 2006 CCNRs and the 94 CCNRs were false. And they didn't have a majority. And they were basically fraudulent documents. So we won that, and that's not going to change anything.
That's a really good history.
Okay, well, one of the things, what we want to do is we're winning the lawsuits. We're going to win the second part too, because there was no conflict. And we've got a settlement conference on the 4th of April to try to resolve that matter. So that's where we stand now. And once we get these lawsuits finalized, then we plan on going forward. And court can take the, hey, now, are there any questions in reference to litigation?
We'll get to that. Two more presentations.
Okay, who's next?
Thank you, Gary.
All right, did everyone follow that? I've been hearing about the HOA and all of the things that make my head spin. So if you guys understood that, congratulations to you. You know, bottom line. So my name is Court, C-O-R-T, and as Gary said, I'm one of the original members of the South Point Investment Group. And I got involved here against my will. Really. It started by I lent a friend of mine some money, and after the dust settled, I owned part of this golf course before I even set foot on the Big Island. So this was unintentional for me. But I came here for the first time in 2009. And absolutely fell in love, like every one of you in this room, fell in love with Hawaii and fell in love with this part of Hawaii. I don't normally even admit that I'm part of the South Point Investment Group. I like to be known more as the barefoot guy that shoots fish and wears puka shells. But you know, when it came time to spread good vibes. I was invited by Woodley, to be part of this and to be part of the healing process moving forward. And that's really what the intention of this meeting is, and where my heart is on this. And what I want to talk about is, whatever happens with the HOA, and it sure looks like we may not have an HOA, or we may not have covenants, or things are not looking great for the HOA. And for the record, I would rather that we had a functional HOA. I would love that to be possible, but it just seems like due to all the things that happened in the very distant past, that we may not be able to. We may not be able to save that. So in the light of that, what does this community look like, right? And when I take a step back from that, I hear a lot of fear in the neighborhood. People are like, oh, we're not going to have an HOA. This place is going to turn into Ocean View. Okay, maybe. Well, right. No, but you hear that, right? You hear people say that. And I was here in 2009. When I first came here, the golf course was cane grass, as tall as your shoulder, and nothing was being maintained. This building was sitting empty, and half the houses in the community were bank foreclosed. And
This wasn't empty.
no,
Rat infested.
no, I mean, okay, rat infested. I mean, it was really sad, but you could see how beautiful it could be.
No, we lived here from 2000, it wasn't rat infested, I'm sorry.
What was it?
It was beautiful, that's why we're still here after 25 years.
This building,
Clubhouse was beautiful?
this building was. When I first got here, this building was in really tough shape and nobody was using it. Right? It wasn't anyway. So and back at that time, we had a functional HOA, right? But the HOA isn't what made this, isn't what brought this community back to what it is right now. Is Doug Phillips here? Okay, good. The reason, in my opinion, the reason this community is thriving today is because of the condition of this golf course. And that's not of anything that I've done, right? I mean, I clear a little bit up on the side of the road once in a while, but this is the hard work started by Ron and his crew, and carried on through the years by, the volunteers that cleaned up this golf course, got things moving, and now continue. Every time I come back here, the place looks a little bit better. So more important, in my mind, more important than having an HOA with covenants that are enforceable are that we keep this golf course looking good.
No.
Right? If this golf course looks good, this community is gonna be good, right? And we're gonna lose some things, So we all lost the HOA, right? We're all gonna feel the loss of that and the covenants and all of the things that the original developer wanted to have. But I believe that there are things that we can save. There are things that we can do, and it'll be a volunteer HOA. I mean, the biggest thing is we have a community center. I mean, how huge is that? How many communities in Hawaii or anywhere have a community center where they can have a source of operations? So, one of the things, Doug, would you come up and talk just a little bit? The reason I want Doug to talk is not as the president of the golf course, of which he certainly deserves a round of applause, but as a retired police officer and someone who understands the law and what things can we as a community do that as a volunteer organization that we can continue to maintain the lifestyle here in Discovery Harbour that we've become accustomed to.
Hi, folks. I just want to address a question that was asked of me. It's a what-if type of question. And because of my background as an HPD officer, I had some possible solutions. And I just want to put a disclaimer out that in no way, by me talking about this with you tonight, am I volunteering to head up what I'm suggesting that can be done. I just have the knowledge of laws and the knowledge of ordinances and codes that exist. HPD uses what's called nuisance abatement laws that are already on the books to get into drug houses and to get access into places that they want to do forfeiture, seizure, or there's criminal activity going on. We have a big binder of select cherry-picked ordinances and safety codes, health violations that is in this binder. And it's used in that way. And you're probably thinking, well, if this exists, how come there is derelict houses, derelict vehicles all over the place? The answer to that is a lack of funding and a lack of manpower. And along with the lack of funding and lack of manpower, if you have somebody that is their job to go around and paint all the fire hydrants on the entire island, and they have 2 people to do it, and they give them 1 bucket of paint to do it, after a while, those 2 individuals develop apathy. Right? That exists. I'm just being real. But I tell you what also exists is the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And I have been present when the building inspectors call because somebody made a lot of noise to the mayor's office that there's some building violations in Ocean View and they want an officer to go with them. And you see all the violations that exist with the building code in Ocean View. You're like, nothing is done because nobody's making a lot of noise about it. If you call the right people, and I'm telling you, the mayor's office makes a lot of difference when you contact them. But if you contact the right people, make enough noise, somebody will be sent out to deal with it. If you are interested in looking at the county codes, Hawaii county codes, you can Google it. It's online. You can read all those county codes. There's several different chapters that are there. There's a lot of meat and potatoes that are in there. You can order the entire volume of it all for $200 as a form online. You can order the entire set. There's also safety and health regulations with the state. And my proposal or my proposition is, yes, I love having the rules and regulations that the HOA had or has. This is a what-if scenario. But if something needed to be done outside of those parameters, what could be done? I suggest that some type of committee could be formed, call it whatever, the Discovery Harbour Beautification Committee, that they gather and go over all these codes and all these ordinances that exist on the books already and make a lot of noise, rattle some cages, and get known as an enforcement group on your own with volunteers. Perhaps you might even want to, if this group got together, meet with the mayor, make an appointment. He does take appointments. You can schedule an appointment online. Meet with Kelvin Walton, our prosecuting attorney. Take it a further step. That's just something that I had as a proposal when I was talking with court. He said, Doug, what can be done legal-wise? And that's just throwing that out there for your information.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
So yeah, so what, you know, so talking to Doug's like, you know, there's a lot of things that we can continue to do, right? As a volunteer basis, we can continue our neighborhood watch. We can put together, you know, and it will be a volunteer organization, right? I mean, we won't be able to charge dues the way that a legal HOA would, right? So is everyone going to participate? Absolutely not. You know, we know that, right? But we're hoping that there'll be enough people that care enough about this place that will support this new group, whatever it is. And Woodley's volunteered to be the first president of it. So. So anyway, no. So anyway, that's really what, you know, the essence of what this meeting I hope will spur, right? And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to be involved and to volunteer and to help form this. I mean, because this is our community, right? We can make this thing whatever we want it to be, and we have a great model already in place. You know, we've had a you know an HOA that's been doing things. I mean, we won't be able to have an architectural committee that can stop somebody from from building something, right, that's outside of the current architectural standards. But you know, we do have a building department that can stop a lot of stuff, right? So you know, we'll have to work within those parameters. So you know, it's really just kind of this point brainstorming and talking about that. So the next part of this that I was asked to talk about was the future development. Now, when we talk about the 30 acres, does everybody understand the property that we're talking about? No. Okay. So you know, we have Wakea, right? The main road that comes into Discovery Harbor, right? You know, the Discovery Harbor sign, and then there's two lots, you know, both above and below the road that are currently, you know, just a bunch of grass. And you can see we've been cleaning them up a little bit, making them a little bit better. But there's 30 acres on both sides of that road, and that's the property that the original developer set aside for these ridiculously gigantic hotels and all sorts of nonsense that doesn't make any sense today. But you know, we do have that property, and when you look at it, you're like, well, you know, that really should be something, you know, and what makes the most sense to go there, right? And you can see some of the plans that we put together in 2015. There was another concept that was done earlier, I think in 2010. And you can look at those, and they're just concepts. But you know, I've been talking to people, you know, for many years about what would make the most sense there. And you know, and a few things keep coming up. One is, yeah, it'd be nice to have a small lodge, you know, maybe 50 to 70 rooms where people could come when they're visiting and not have to stay in the guest room at our house. You know, hey, go get a room up at the place, and you know, it'd be a good place to come, and you know, people can stay here and rent a room in Discovery Harbour. Another thing that we think would go well there are you know, some condos. People that don't want to own a home and take care of their lawn and this, that, and the other thing, and they would rather have a condo living type situation. And the third thing, that every time I mention it, people are like, oh yeah, is a senior living facility. You know, someplace where, you know, because we see it all the time. People come here and they, you know, usually in their retirement years spend 10, 15, 20 years. And then where do you go? You go back to mainland, but if you could stay here and, you know, do that, I think that would be an absolute no-brainer, right? So that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about that could go in there. And I want to do more brainstorming. And as people have ideas of what should we do there? You know, should there be a restaurant or a brew pub or a dog park or a playground or a driving range or disc golf? I mean, there's a lot of ideas of things that could happen over there in that 30-acre property. But just having it, you know, just growing up and not looking great as the rest of the neighborhood, you know, comes online and continues to look great, you know, especially right at the entrance of our neighborhood, you know, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And that's what we're talking about, you know, that's what Gary and I were talking about when we're talking about getting the area rezoned, right? It's those two properties, and that's what we're working with the county on, and you know, that's what we got so much pushed out from the past HOA board. So anyway, that's, I think that concludes our presentation on information from the past and, you know, the current lawsuits, which again, still makes my head spin, and what is the potential future for Discovery Harbour. So.
Thank you, Court. Now is your time to talk. Robin Baglow, you don't want your letter with, she wrote this awesome letter. You don't want it. I'll tell you what, if we have time, we'll read it. Okay, Scott, would you like to talk?
Yes.
This is Scott Mora.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? So, I think a big thing everybody's here is what's next steps? Where are we at? So, you know, there's a major, you know, the lawsuit went down. That happened. Many people in this room had absolutely nothing to do with that, either way. But I've been here since 2007. I bought land. We got blessed to be able to have a home on Hecow Street. We got great neighbors. I love this place. But I'm very concerned that it's going to turn into not this place. And I appreciate what Court said, especially what Doug said with that proposal. Let me be very clear. I am very thankful for the volunteers. I'm thankful for SPIG for letting us have this facility here. I'm very thankful for all the people, their blood, sweat, and tears that they poured into it to make it what it is. To be able to drive your golf cart or even walk, to get live entertainment on the weekend and real food and not have to drive into town, that's great. My big worry is, Karen and I bought here for two reasons. We had vision that said, someday this golf course is going to be playable. Someday it's going to be viable. And we also said, thank God there's an HOA, because we visited some other areas that we really didn't want to live in because people don't follow the rules and do the right thing. That's what I'm very concerned about. Are we going to still be able to, because here it is, gang. If you can't collect funds, how are we going to pay for things? Right now, we're paying what? Less than $200 a year for an HOA? Many of us came from places you're paying $500 a month. So we really got to understand what we're doing. When folks are saying, oh, there's no HOA, I don't have to pay my dues. Yeah, you're not going to get any repairs, and it's going to be tough. Nothing's free. So we gotta get our head around that. And the other thing that I appreciate what you guys are doing, we all just witnessed firsthand what happened down at Black Sand Beach. Gentlemen, you could put a free hospital on that 30 acres and you're gonna get pushback.
Yep.
You're gonna get pushback. I don't care what you wanna put, and I love your ideas. I run hotels all over the place. I can help. I don't like our chances, and I'm just being real. Look what happened down at Black Sand Beach. That's everybody got off the couch. They all had t-shirts, and they made a lot of noise for relatively similar things. So, I really don't know, but I know, I don't have any answers tonight. I'd like to really understand what's next steps. Where are we going from here? There's a major beef, it's not over, it doesn't look good for, whatever they're saying with that. Who knows? That's why they have courts and there's decisions. So that's not over yet. But if we don't have an HOA, our community's in jeopardy, in my opinion. If we don't have this golf course, our property values are in jeopardy, in my opinion. So we need to get both sides together and stop with the Hatfields and the McCoys and the those and them and the SPIG and the this and the board. Okay? My wife is on the board. And she's not here tonight. She could add a lot of value to this conversation. I just want to see this place thrive, like everyone in this room. So we all got to understand one or two things here. Nothing's free. We're not going to have a great Discovery Harbour if there's no funds coming in to run the show. So we can't walk out of here saying, oh, there's no HOA, we got a free ride. There's no free rides, gang, you know that. Everybody worked hard to get here. So we got to get that out of the way. So whatever kind of agreement we want to come in, and Doug had a great idea, there's got to be some kind of community leadership. I'm not running. I'll support it. I'll write a check every month. Okay? And I'll support it anyway, and like a lot of you folks. But I think we really have to when you go to bed tonight, you got to really lay down and think about what's going on. I want to stay, I don't want to leave, but I don't want to lose what we have. And again, I am thankful for the opportunity to have this be. I was here, there was no golf, the golf course was not playable. Now I look out my backyard and I say, wow, that's awesome. Okay? And I think a lot of other folks here do that too. And I really, really believe in my heart the reason why we have such special values right now. The golf course is a major piece. But don't think for a minute that the security and the safety of neighborhood watch, a fire department, and all the other things that come with that HOA, that's a big piece too. So I want to close with, we got to stop with the us and them, and we all got to get on the same page as soon as possible to make sure we can move forward. And I wish you guys luck with the project, the 30 acres. I really do. How are we going to get home? That's the big question. How are we going to get home to get there? Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Cammy said no. Patty, you're up. Patty Berry. Thank you, everyone. You've been so good about not interrupting. You've been so good about listening. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate everyone's opinion. You say, I don't like that, say it. You know, we need to listen to each other. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Patty Berry here. I'm actually speaking in the capacity as a realtor. I'm part owner and principal broker for the land office. However, I was on the CDP. I represented Ocean View with another gentleman, and we have about 6 of us that were on there, the CDP. Does everybody know what the CDP is?
Say it. Say it.
Okay, it's a community development plan. This comes about every 10 years, and they go around all over the island, and then they have groups that are set up because they change the general plan. That's the only time you can do the change to the general plan for the county. It involves the county, it also involves the state. So this happened, and the reason it's something that we represent the different areas. So we have meetings in all the communities as to how they want to have their community developed in the future for the next 10 years. So I came to the meeting at Discovery Harbour, and with our group, it wasn't just myself, Michelle Galimba, she represented Discovery Harbour and part of Naalehu, and then there were different people that represented the other areas. So when we came there was the board, and then this big group, they introduced their project. I particularly very much liked the project. However, we as a group, after the meeting, and the board of directors was not liking the project much at all. And I guess they said at that time it was a conflict. It wasn't upon us to investigate anything. All we could do was go there, listen to what they had to say. And because the board of directors represents the community, that's who you elect to be there, the CDP decided to go along with the board of directors at that time. Once that went in there and the vote went in as to how we're going to do the zoning, which the zoning went down further than it could be for this big development, there was not anything we could do. Once we found out what was happening and found out about the CCNRs and everything else, we couldn't go back and retract it. Legally, we couldn't do that. So that's the end of that situation, just to give you a little idea of why the CDP came up with the decision that they did at the time. Now, as far as the real estate end of it, I've been concerned because you don't have a legal HOA or CCNRs, they're not in existence. It's my understanding that you have a volunteer board of directors. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was that self-done, or did they go out and get the majority vote to enact it? So,
It's the way it's been done for 60 years.
Vote.
It's a vote.
It's a vote.
yeah, it's a vote. It was a vote. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Every lot, it's a vote.
So what I have done, we have to, when we sell property, we go through escrow, and then you have to get title insurance. If you can sell property without any HOA, without any CCNRs. So once you don't have your CCNRs, that's not a problem. There's no problem with your title and everything else. However, since they now put a second lawsuit onto it, because what do you call that that they're doing, the board is doing, they're
The appeal?
Appealing.
Appeal, yeah.
Now, once you appeal, that changes everything else. Because now, and I'm not a lawyer, but to me, that would then be putting a cloud on it. That's not true apparently as far as escrow is concerned. I've checked with Title Guarantee, I've checked with Old Republic, and both of them have no problem with the situation. Title Guarantee does have a notation in the preliminary that there is a lawsuit still in effect. Not the final one, but that this appeal is on there. But it's not effective.
Appeal was denied, that's already in the paper.
What was that?
Appeal was denied already.
No.
The appeal was not denied.
Not denied.
The judge denied
The stay.
the stay.
Yeah.
The stay was denied. The appellate board has not taken up the case. They may not take the case up. It's
Yeah.
the
But it's
appellate
not-
board's call whether or not to assign it for appeal. They have not done that.
As far as the title insurance people are concerned, and title is concerned, all title guarantee has is a notation, a general notation. It doesn't have anything to do with your deed or anything like that. As far as Old Republic is concerned, they don't put anything in there. However, Old Republic still contacts the board to make sure that people have paid their dues. If not, they collect it. Title guarantee is not contacting them, and they're not collecting. I don't know about Fidelity, and I will find out about the other escrows, just so we know the procedures that they're following, so we can tell the buyers, exactly what's going on. So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. My son just bought the land just here in Discovery Harbour. An American title forced him to pay HOA dues and all the fees and whatever, transfer fee. And I submit all paperwork that they ask about the court procedures and everything. And they say, oh, it's not enough. We need to hear from actual DHCA members that they will admit that they're not legit. Only in that case we can remove that from our record, which is crazy. Of course, they're not gonna do it. And they never answer the phone. So they still force my son to pay all those dues and transfer fees.
And that's what they're requiring. Each different escrow company seems to be requiring something different. So if you go, if you were to go to Old Republic, it would be the same thing with Old Republic, because Old Republic is requiring that all the dues get paid. So it depends, I guess, I have to check with the different escrow companies. I've only checked with 2 so far. There's about 5.
Which one does
So you
not
can
require?
tell your son to change escrow company.
Yeah.
You're not obligated to use a certain escrow company.
Oh,
You can use
that-
whatever escrow company you want.
That's really new for me, because I thought escrow company and title company, it's guaranteed the process of the paperwork, that everything is correct. And now you're saying that's all different title company, so they have different information. That's kind of awkward for me. That's
It
why
is
we just
very
found
right
with the
on.
biggest star review. That's why we went to the title company. But thank you for that information. But also they said it's not official. It's supposed to be like in a newspaper or somewhere. What we can do to stop forcing that people should pay the dues and transfer fee and everything, which is real. I mean, it's not exist, HOA. And we're still forcing to be obligated to their contract.
You have to take that up with the title company themselves, or see a lawyer, a real estate lawyer. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to
No,
say?
that's all.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Audrey, would you like to speak? Audrey Lighthouse. Am I saying that wrong? I'm sorry. Andre, sorry. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I don't know, do I need microphone?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm here in Discovery Harbour since 2018, for almost 7, in May it's gonna be 7 years as a member of this community, and I work around and I help to fix, most of the fix and clean streets around my neighborhood, and just to be a nice neighbor. Anyway, in the situation that we get with that HOA, it's like, I'm sorry, sorry further, I'm not bad on the names, but I just mentioned that our former officer just mentioned to us that we do have a rulings, government rules, government building rules and everything, and that's really nice one. I mean, it's a logical. With this new CCNR, when I start, because for me it was like, okay, 150, it's not a big deal to pay HOA. But then I start develop just extra room to my house, which is 900 square foot, and I have kids coming over all the time. We have 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and sorry, I cannot afford bigger places. But anyway, I keep my place nice, I make nice garden,
completely changed view of my front yard, and that's what I was told by HOA. We just want to see nice neighborhood. And my neighbors, they know me pretty well, and they know the street, how I keep it. I clean the actual fences, my neighbor fences and everything, because that's the street I live on, and I make beautiful garden in front. It's good. But then I need to add that room. I went to HOA and I asked them, can I do it? They asked me, okay, write a plan. I make this sketch, make the plan, I brought it in, and they said, oh, you know, it's a seat back from the front of the house, not 25 feet by CCNR, but 22 and a half. By the government code, 20 feet. And with those 2.5 feet, we start fighting. And I can't make my room smaller because the bed itself, it's 11 foot, king size, you know, with chandelier. And then in case my room would be, what, 13 foot wide? I need at least 16 foot wide, which is only a couple foot bigger, you know, and anyway, it's under the road level. It doesn't make any view or changes. I called the Nails, and Nails, with a very angry voice, told me, we're not allowed you because we're not allowed you. That's it. That's when everything started. By the end, you probably heard that I was beaten up at the HOA meeting. We got 3 court order restraining order on some of the HOA members. And no, that kind of HOA, I really don't want to see it in my neighborhood. Because if we need to regulate some crazy neighbor, we have a police. We have some neighbors here, and you probably heard it, a year ago. Now it's really changed a lot. But a year ago, like a half of the community can hear the fighting till middle of the night, almost to the morning. What you do? You call the police. HOA doesn't help. We addressed that problem to HOA. HOA said, we have limited ability to do with it. We got the roosters in some of the area that's screaming all night non-stop. And I addressed it to HOA. HOA told me, oh, we're limited, we cannot do nothing. Then what the heck I am paying money for HOA if they are limited and can do nothing? But they can mess it up with my own property. So that's my opinion to HOA, that the one that exists actually. I heard the one that was 80s, that was the best people, but right now it's a nightmare. Anyway, I want to bring to idea with like we were told, oh, this area gonna turn like a ocean view. First of all, the prices is completely different, and we understand. Like my son, he bought the land just for $100,000, and he's not planning to do junkyard spending those much money on it. That's 100%. That's a one thing. Secondary thing, we got the government rules, and we can address and do all of that through the government. That's already a good thing. But to keep our, we were told, oh, we're not gonna have the fire department. Only HOA holds the fire department. Have anyone looked through their paperwork, the money that they pay for the stuff, like $5,000 together on a Christmas, when it says bring your own food, you know? So all those kind of write-off, it's crazy. But then I saw $3,500. They actually make how it called when you collect money from beside the HOA money. So that was voluntarily payments. And I was voluntarily paying to the fire department. But to the solution, I think the best solution for fire department to keep it, it's like to sign up as a volunteer. Because there is a thing, like if you see the accident, major accident, and you have passed some kind of first aid training, you know what to do, you know how to help it. And I think if we make that kind of community where everybody just voluntarily, strong men can go through the process of the learning how to do just a basic fire department. Because right now what we got, like 3-5 people, men on that fire department. What if they're shopping in the corner? Someone in the healer. So the group is already not collected at all. I mean, not gathered together. So it's not enough people. But if we sign up, I'm like 2 hands up. I want to go through that process. I want to learn how to do first aid, how to work on the truck. If they can show me how to work on the truck, how to turn the valves and everything. And then my phone would be in the file. My neighbor phone would be in the file. Somebody else's phone would be in the file. And it doesn't matter if we got in different places. one text message, and whatever who is here, if I'm here, I'm gonna jump and run right to the fire department and help to save the community. I think that's one of the solutions that can be done with the fire department.
Really good. You gotta love his passion and his willingness to help our beautiful community. And that's why we're all here, because we love it here. And we want to make it the best it can be. And if we have a new development, wonderful. But we have great people that will volunteer, great people that work on the on the HOA, that are volunteer firefighters, that do our Christmas party and 4th of July parade and this golf course and this club. There are so many good things. And I think that's why we're all here, because we want to save the good as best we can. Do we have all the answers yet? No. But we'll continue to go forward. If it means a voluntary association, don't know how the money's going to work, Scott. That was a great point. But together, if we don't fight, if we work together, I think great things can happen. I want to thank everyone for presenting. Anyone else want to speak? We have a little more time. Yeah.
So I'm Mike. I live on a golf course, but because golf clubs don't float and they don't straighten up well, I don't play golf. But I support the golf course. I support the golf course by volunteering as a non-golfing member. That supports the golf course. There's nothing stopping from this group to do that with whatever turns out. Nothing at all. All you have to do is say, I will contribute. That's all you have to do. It's solved. Just say, I will contribute. You know, part of that. It's like, good. Now, somebody had a question about the HOA being reinstated with this name. I can get the name Discovery Harbour Community Association today and open a business under that name. It's quite simple to do. You just change Harbor, O-U-R to O-R. So having that name means nothing. You can do it. Go online and get the name registered. You can do that. So also with CC&Rs, the Bureau of Conveyances is the one that controls that on your title. So I'm looking into the title change to get that taken off. That is officially through the Bureau of Conveyances, not a title company or anything else. So if that goes through, we'll let you know how you do it. That's my 2 bits. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your 2 bits. Any other 2 bits? Here we go. What's your name? Introduce yourself.
We've lived here for almost a year now, and let's just say that this development and everything else goes forward. My biggest question and my concern is Wakea Road out here, or Kamaoa Road actually, is very insufficient even for the traffic really that we've got now, and especially with the build out even of the golf course lots here. I mean, we've got utility poles on either side of the road with 0 clear zone distance. So who's gonna pay to upgrade these roads out here? The county, I've looked on their website, and their funds for CAU for this year and for the 2-year window that I saw, their only project on there was 9/100 of a mile for their well in Ocean View from Lehua to the well site. So they've got no infrastructure projects planned for out here. So I want to know how your development, how the infrastructure is going to be put in place to support that.
That's a good question. It's a good question.
We have talked to the mayor and
Closer, darling. You have to come closer.
I got it.
Mm. Excuse me, could you say your name again? I didn't get it.
Scott Murphy.
Scott Murphy. Thank you, Scott Murphy.
The concern, if you didn't hear, is what about Kamaoa Road is really crazy with the electric poles. And Gary said,
Loud and clear. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. We have, I talked to the mayor's office. We're trying to get in, once we get the litigation settled, we will sit down with the county, and they know that there's a road problem. And that's their responsibility. And it's gonna have to be put on a front burner. And we talked about that. Yeah, and we're not gonna do anything unless we have the cooperation with the county. There's, the county situation is, there's a shortage of housing on the Big Island of over 10,000 houses. They're very concerned about the fact that the youth is leaving the island. And Discovery Harbour, although it's a great community, this is the middle class community. And it's in the, okay, again, this is a middle class community, and probably one of the lower cost of living is here on this side of the island. Our architect, who we just had dinner with last week, said that the average price on the Big Island for housing is $1,100,000. And I think Discovery Harbor's, the average price, and Patty and can tell us, it's, you know, most of the stuff I see selling in Discovery Harbor is around $500,000. You can't build a house today for much less than that. That's the middle class. So, from the standpoint of keeping Discovery Harbour they do want Discovery Harbour developed. They look at it, and there's like 40 or 50 home lots for homelands are here in Hawaii.
30.
Closer. This is an intro. Golly, I could look at it as a ice cream cone. So, but we will work with the county, and the road are going to have to be improved, and they're aware of that. So if we get something going down here, they're going to have to address that, because we can't. Because once we do what we're going to do, if we put 500 units on 30 acres, and you have 75 home apartments here that people come to, and we rebuild the golf course, this is going to be a destination. And there's not going to be a lot available in Discovery Harbour. And in 2 years, this thing will be filled.
Does that answer your question? Yeah, okay, good.
Okay, question?
I just have a question. I have a apartment down in Honolulu, and I can't keep it full. How are you planning on keeping that many units full? And then having a retirement home, and where you're going to bring in the people and the infrastructure, grocery stores and everything else. You know, there's a lot of infrastructure you're going to have to bring in to support that.
Well,
Where are the people going to come from?
okay. Where are you from?
Here.
Where did you come from before you came here? Oregon. How many people are here from Oregon? Washington State. California. Alaska. Colorado. All right. Texas. Okay. Once you do a little advertising, once you get this 30 acres and it's clean, and the golf course, this is one of the best golf courses on the island. And if you clean it up the way it should be cleaned up, you're going to have people in here. Because I know some of the developers that have actually developed some of the big properties. This would be a gold mine. There's nothing to compare to Discovery Harbour.
What about the infrastructure?
What infrastructure?
As far as grocery stores.
Gas station.
Gas stations, roads, you know,
Pig abatement.
highways getting down here to bring people down.
Nearby medical for your senior.
All those
A
things.
dentist.
Look where you've come from. Do those things fill in? Yes, they do. What other questions? Yes.
So could we apply for township? Because eventually our population can get higher.
Okay. I'll give you a little story. Just a real quick one. Beg your pardon? What? Hey, forget about it. I was asked to be on the board of directors back in 1978 for the largest HOA in the state of Texas. And the HOA, just like the community went under back in the late 70s, very similar to Discovery Harbour. And the Gibraltar Savings and Loan, I don't know if you heard of that. They owned the development. We had 2 championship golf courses. One was designed by Ben Hogan, the only golf course he ever designed. The championship golf course. That community today is 14,000 people. It's a town, and we went we created a town. The HOA went away. It cratered just like Discovery Harbour did back in 1977, and we created a town. You can't do that here in Hawaii. You're stuck with the county. You're stuck with the county government. So any government, beg your pardon?
So you can't vote on it as a community?
No, you cannot create a town. They don't. Patty Berry, can you respond to that? Do you know anything about that? That's what I've been told.
Okay, go ahead.
I just have a quick question, Gary. So I hear you saying that there's probably not gonna be an HOA anymore, correct? Hi, I hear you saying there's probably not gonna be an HOA, right?
There is no HOA.
There is
From
no
a
HOA.
factual standpoint, they can't be rebuilt. You know, hate to be bad or bad, they're gone.
So I wonder, who am I gonna pay my HOA dues to?
Don't know.
Well, wait a minute, I thought we were gonna all volunteer and pay our dues, remember? That
Well,
was
there's a
stated.
difference
So who do we pay our
There's a
dues to?
difference between being a volunteer and
So who do we volunteer to pay our money to?
We don't have, they don't, right now.
It would have to be reorganized, obviously.
You have to yes, you have to reorganize as a volunteer community. And that can easily be done. All right, and any other questions?
Gary, I understand about the roads and so forth. I understand about the roads and so on. My concern is, what are we gonna do about wastewater infrastructure? 30 acres, you can't put a wastewater plant.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Will that be done by the county?
We have a reclaim system on our original plans. No, we're on the end of this, the lower 18 acres here, we are going to put a waste treatment plant.
Thank you.
You're gonna put what?
Waste treatment plant for the commercial property.
The water of the golf course.
Some of it could, yes. It could go to water the golf course, yes. It's a possibility. It will be there if they want it, they got it. And, okay, any other questions? Thank you for your time.
Do you want to have another meeting to help to talk about, do you want to wait till the lawsuits are settled on March 4th? And then see what happens, and then maybe go from there? Do you want to have another meeting after March 4th? Go ahead. Yes? Okay. Thank you for coming. Don't forget to take your food. Thank you so much. There's an email list right on the table if you want to email.
2024. March 17th, I believe.
Seen a lot.
Perfect.